Hi friends, Allison dropping in to share with you another scrapbooking layout today. This one is another COVID themed layout. It was created with my Cricut and it includes some stamping this time. I actually really liked the stamping so much. I plan on doing another layout using it. I used third generation stamping. All that means is you stamp the first time, second time, and third time without refilling your stamp with ink from the ink pad. So at this point, I was just adding the borders. They were cut with my Cricut, and I realized when I got them almost adhered to the page that it was on the wrong side. And I tried pulling it up and it had already adhered and it was tearing the paper underneath it. So I just left it as it was and flipped my paper around. So the border is now on the right hand side of the page when I wanted it to be on the left hand. It's a minor detail. And I like the layout still in the end, but it was just a little minor mishap. Here is the elements that I added with the third generation stamping on it. I stamped the arrows all in black ink. They are in different colors. So there is some gray ones, some red ones, and I think just the gray and the red. I wanted to say that there was some white in there too, but I can't remember now. Anyways, I'm adhering them to the right hand side of the layout as well using foam squares. I also hand stitched on them as well. I actually stole this idea from Crystal Idunate. I think I said her last name right. It's a tough one. But then mine is a tough one too, my last name. So I feel her because she probably hears that a lot. She did that in one of her layouts just recently and I really, really liked it. And so I wanted to incorporate that third generation stamping into my layout as well and enjoyed it so much. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I plan on doing it again. The title of my layout is Help, and it is going to be attached to the layout with foam squares as well. I cut it from white, pink, red, and a really deep wine sort of color. As I was creating this layout, I began thinking the color scheme worked really, really well for the story that I'm trying to tell. The story that I'm telling in this layout is about the beginning of COVID when everybody all over the world was in lockdown and my country, Canada, promised that they would give financial aid to everyone that needed it. And then they came up with the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, or CERB, or CURB. I've heard it both ways, for everyone to use. We were one of those families that used it as well. We also applied for EI and drew on that while my husband was not working during that first lockdown. And actually, as part of that first lockdown, not only were we locked down and my husband wasn't able to work, he was conditionally laid off as well. So he literally had no work. And then we also found out, and this is where the second layout is going to come in, he found out that the company that he worked for had closed up shop here in the town that we live in, and they were moving home office to Edmonton, to the city, which devastated my husband. He didn't know if he had a job after this was all said and done, and if he did, where we would be living. So it was a really turbulent time for us. I'm sure it was for everybody else as well. All of our situations were different, but we were all in the same generic boat at the same time. And so all of that is just to say, or actually document our story of going through lockdown and what happened. So I included a lot of arrows in this layout to point to the specific points in our story. So there's arrows pointing to our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, making the announcement that there would be financial aid for Canadians, and also that the borders were closing between Canada and the US. There's larger arrows pointing to all of the photos, which were cut to 2 by 2 inches. They were printed at 2 by 2. And then there are some arrows that are going to be pointing upwards to the word help at the bottom of the layout. I just adhered a little gray star. I also cut that with my Cricut, and I'm just working on lines for journaling right now. As I did those lines, I kept looking at the top of the layout, thinking how bare that one space looked, and it needed something. In the layout that I designed, it looked fine to me, but actually after I actually had it on paper, it felt really barren. So I added more journaling at the top there, and actually it was a happy accident because I needed that space to tell our story. Here is the close-ups. Thanks for sticking it out with me and joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspired you. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and a like, and I will be back again soon with more creative inspiration. Bye, friends.